At the peak of her power in Europe, Angela Merkel found herself caught up in a political storm. In the summer of 2015, a growing number of migrants crossed the Serbian-Hungarian border. Thousands got stranded in Budapest, but hundreds of thousands were determined to make it to Germany. The German Chancellor opened her country's borders on humanitarian grounds.
Wir haben so vieles geschafft, wir schaffen das.
A now iconic phrase, and one that initially earned her praise the world over. But then,
in some countries of Central and Eastern Europe, there was a fear and an anger about how little they had been consulted before she had decided to open the borders and let immigrants and refugees in.
Merkel called for solidarity and for the refugees to be fairly distributed across Europe. Countries like Hungary refused. Prime Minister Viktor Orban prepared for a fully fledged power struggle. The Germans tried forcing the issue by demanding a vote in a dramatic meeting of interior ministers in Brussels. A majority ended up deciding in favor of limited refugee quotas, but this did not change the situation on the ground. Most migrants continued to get stuck in Greek camps.
Heads of state, ministers come here, decide this is what we're going to do, and then they go home and it's actually not happening. And I think that's a huge issue for the European Union. We have to do what we decide together, otherwise the whole credibility and the stability and power of the construction is gone.
Which is exactly what happened. A number of countries started to rebel against Merkel's policy. Austria and the Balkan states closed their borders. In interviews, Merkel seemed undeterred, but she was largely isolated. And effectively, the border closures were helping her. She now put all her efforts into a deal with Turkey to prevent refugees from illegally getting to Europe in the first place. And it worked, for some time at least. The numbers of migrants arriving at the Greek coast dropped dramatically, but Europe remains deeply divided. Has Merkel pushed the EU to the brink with her welcome policy?
Well, I think it really goes too far, that assessment. My starting point would be that the refugee crisis would have been there even without Merkel. The impulse and the reflex to respond to it at a European level and with a European strategy, I think is still the right one.
But it can't be implemented. The political storm might have passed for now. The differences in Europe remain, however, not least over this phrase.
We can do it.
The storm could re-emerge at any time.